first is Tamara Biebrich. She's the Senior Public Art Project Manager for Winnipeg, for the Winnipeg Arts Council. Delighted to have her. And then Graham Marshall, who's a band council member in Membertou, Nova Scotia. And then the third will be Jai Sahak, who's the Diversity and Community Engagement Coordinator for the town of Ajax. Would you welcome, please, Tamara, Graham, and Jai. Thank you.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me here. I'm really excited to be talking about how city-commissioned, community-led art making can help people feel more connected to their city and build civic pride. Which button do I? Oh, okay, sorry. Winnipeg, for those of you who don't know, Winnipeg is a prairie city. We're located on Treaty 1 territory and in the homeland of the Métis Nation. We are a city of approximately 700,000 people, and we're growing. We're home to a large urban Indigenous population and newcomers from around the world. As I said, I work with the Winnipeg Arts Council, and we're an arm's-length agency of the City of Winnipeg. We developed and manage the city's public art program. We work with city administration, artists, and communities, and we integrate art into public spaces where ideas can be encountered on a daily basis. We provide many opportunities for the public to access these artworks in addition to their installation in civic spaces through a self-guided tour book, free public walking, biking, and bus tours, and through our web gallery. And along with traditional artist commissions, infrastructure design projects, and residencies in city facilities, the Winnipeg Arts Council facilitates With Art, and that's where we're going to talk about collaboration. This is a program where, public artwork is commissioned, owned, and maintained by the City of Winnipeg, but it's made by communities in collaboration with professional artists. This recipe is key to the success of With Art. You need the participation of citizens, the professional expertise of artists, and the development of civic icons. And before I show you some specific projects, I would like to emphasize how important process, ideas, and participation are to the program. Communities choose to participate, and they apply through an open annual call to be matched with an artist to explore a specific idea or issue. And we ask that participants, both artists and communities alike, come to the program with an open mind and without any preconceptions of what will be made. We want the artwork to be a true collaboration, so we don't accept communities who state that they just want a mural painted or artists who want to make a certain work that could be made in any community. The program is designed to be flexible, experimental, and a model for community development. So the artist and community matching process is community-led, where participating groups select their partner by interviewing professional artists from a roster vetted by the Arts Council. And for youth-focused projects, we always encourage that youth participate in this interview process. Once an artist and community match is made, the With Art project unfolds in two phases over the course of a year or two. Time is always important. The first phase is focused on consultation and relationship building. So this is 3 to 6 months where the artists and the community spend time together, they get to know each other, and to discover what is possible in order to develop a collaborative artwork proposal and a budget. And the proposal must always include a plan for how the community will participate and how the public will access the artwork. If the artwork is to be cited, we work with city administration to get the additional approvals required to install safe and durable artworks in an appropriate public space. The second phase is then focused on creating the artwork. And when the artwork is complete, we work with participants to celebrate these community legacies. Every With Art project is unique. Communities are broadly defined, and we encourage participation by artists of all disciplines and support all forms of artistic expression. This can include dance, music, theater, photography, and projects can be ephemeral, they can be permanently cited, or distributed as multiples. So now on to the fun part. This is where I get to showcase a few actual projects to show you the work that I'm so proud to be. With Art, a newcomer can find ways to build confidence in their new surroundings, wrapping themselves and others in warmth. With art, high school girls can lead projects that attract butterflies and the handiwork of our youngest and oldest citizens. With art, Stentled Statements can advocate for access to safe water across Turtle Island before they evaporate and fade from view. With art, fabric and paint can be tiled to celebrate access to good food and share stories in your neighborhood. With art, a community center can find new life with waves that repel graffiti. With art, Indigenous youth can create opportunities for reflection and teaching along a trail. With art, a compass can be reimagined to point to home in a public park. And these are just some of the 40 With Art public artworks that are currently in progress and or have been completed since 2006 in Winnipeg. These projects have and continue to engage thousands of Winnipeggers in humanizing our civic spaces, amplifying diverse community voices, and reflecting the city back to us in new ways that can be both playful and profound. Thank you.
Kwe, Madalawulotio, Nindalawasi Great Marshall, Walali Ganishnabe, Mushoni, to my brothers and sisters, Walal, and thank you for being this territory. It is great pleasure to be here in Toronto all the way from the most beautiful island in the world, Cape Breton Island. As I mentioned, I'm elected band councillor and member to Nova Scotia. A vibrant Mi'kmaq community, it is my honor to tell you about the place that I have the great fortune of calling home. Member 2 is located 3 kilometers outside the main city of Sydney, Nova Scotia. As a First Nations community, we are urban, well situated within the industrial limits of the city. Member 2 today is one of Canada's leading economically progressive First Nations communities. Through strong leadership, concentrated objectives, a lot of hard work, Member 2 is only just getting started in terms of business development. However, the vision of Member 2 that I present to you today is not the community that our people have always known. In 1926, Member 2 was the first Mi'kmaq community that was forcibly relocated by the government from its peaceful yet resourceful land of the Sydney Harbor. The land was thought too valuable for the Mi'kmaq, and my ancestors were moved up the hill to a barren reserve that at the time didn't have much to offer. No access to water frontage, unideal agricultural terrain, and a landscape that needed a lot of work to produce any value. For the last 100 years, our people have been working to create what we now think is a metropolis of the hill. When I was a kid, the lasting effects of residential school abuse, forceful relocation, and high unemployment rates plagued our community. I remember days when I didn't have anything to eat. My teacher at school provided me with hand-me-down clothes and helped bridge the gap as I grew into a young man. And while our community was certainly an economic decline, at that time there were visionaries in our community, working behind the scenes and moving forward to a new path. And while our community was certainly in an economic decline at that time, Chief Terry Paul, Member 2's visionary, has been leading the community for nearly 35 years. 17 consecutive terms. When he took the reins as chief, the state of the community was not healthy. But through key steps in strategic planning, Member 2 has risen. 2 decades ago, Member 2 Chief and Council sat with 2 clear options: continue down a path of economic decline, or change the entire trajectory of the community's history by working outside the box. Both options presented immense challenges. With all odds facing them, including a total lack of business connections in the community, zero credibility for business reputation, and at that time an ingrained sense of racism in surrounding communities, they choose change anyway. Today, these are our corporate businesses in Membertou, strongly built and proudly operated. As a young man, I watched and as the transformation took place. Later, this vision and resilience inspired me to run for council. In this role, I have learned the fate of the community has turned around with the following pillars at the forefront of all decision-making. These pillars are education, youth, building business partnerships and gaining financial stability, and most importantly, community. With education, without the ability of strong leaders or to be educated for meaningful employment, we knew that Membertou wouldn't be able to grow in physical size or in social or spiritual capacity. Our council put forward a mandate that all community members who wanted to obtain a post-secondary education would be financially supported by the band to do so. This strategic move has paid off for us tenfold, and we are still continuing to see the positive effects of it today. Our graduation rate in the community has risen. We operate at close to a 95% graduation rate from high school last year. Thank you. We had 54 post-secondary graduates successfully complete degrees, trades, and training courses that will continue to contribute to the overall advancement of Membertou. One of our greatest investments ever is our youth. Investing in our young people is not only a strategic piece of our business development, it is also a strong tradition of my people. When our ancestors signed our peace and friendship treaties in Atlantic Canada, their intentions were not to make a better life for themselves, but for the next 7 generations ahead. In Membertou, we provide endless opportunities to our youth, everything from health and wellness initiatives to supported education to social and cultural connections. Our goal is to help produce well-rounded young people who can work beyond what we have started and create a brighter tomorrow for the next 7 generations after them. With business development, in 1999, Membertou became the first indigenous community in the world incorporation to become ISO 9000 certified. Our ISO certification ensured that we were abiding by strict corporate and financial guidelines and truly gave Membertou an opportunity for the first time to be seen as a credible and trustworthy business partner within the local and regional business market. As we perfected the ISO process, we also hired strong, reliable community members and skilled members of the Sydney business area. When Chief and Council decided to take the path less traveled and create change, they started calling back community members who were thriving in other parts of Toronto and in the country. A lot of our people went and migrated out in Toronto back in the 70s and 80s. And they had the skills of lawyers, accountants, and business people, and helped make Membertou's future had a strong connection. From a $1 million deficit to now, Membertou generated $67 million in annual revenue for the 2017-2018 fiscal year. By working to diversify our revenue streams and never being afraid to think outside the box, Membertou is an example of what can happen with true perseverance. Membertou's greatest stakeholder is the community members. Our operations, which are split between corporation and community, seek to support the work of our people. Membertou's development corporation operations and revenues provide financial stability for future investment and to support the operations of our community entities like housing, social, and health. Membertou's growing success can be attributed to our leadership's unwavering dedication to always wanting to do more and to do better for ourselves no matter what. When faced with hard decisions or roadblocks, we found a way around them. When faced with racism or discrimination, we've risen above and taken the high road. When faced with a challenge, we turned it into an opportunity. Further saying that Member Two's model isn't one of redemption or revenge against anyone. It is about reconciliation and a true opportunity for the future. In fact, 50% of our employees working in Member Two today come from outside of our community. Being in Cape Breton Regional Municipality, and we are one of the top 3 major employers with about 600 people. Our employees' skill sets and attitudes are not what get them the job, but not favoritism. Member Two is home to 9 corporate entities ranging in service from 2 pads of NHL-sized ice rinks to a full-service trade and convention center with service businesses in between. As a counselor for my wonderful community, I am proud every day when I get to share the success that we realized since my time as a young boy. The boy I told you about earlier, myself, grew up in a completely different environment than the one I am raising my children today. Our government revenues in Indigenous communities, a lot of them would be 100% government source revenue. Back in the 1980s, our government revenue was at 90%. Today, in Member Two First Nation, our own source revenue is the total opposite. I am grateful for that. I will leave you today by saying, please visit us in Member Two. Experience our culture, hospitality, and feel welcome to learn about what I've shared you today. As a community, we have risen by lifting one another, working together to lead by example. Walaliok, merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I actually just moved to the town of Ajax, and what I can tell you is before I moved, I thought I knew traffic here from Toronto, but yeah, it's a whole different feeling. For some of you, if you're not familiar with the town of Ajax, we are located east of the city of Toronto. We're in Durham Region, and if you're not familiar with Durham Region, it's a region that's doing some very incredibly innovative and exciting things. Is there anyone here from Durham Region, or even Ajax? Okay. We'll go for coffee later. We'll chat. So I want to share something. I've been now with the town of Ajax for a little over a year, and as most of you would know, the number of newcomers to this country is going to be drastically increasing over the next few years. So what does this mean for municipalities? What does this mean on the ground for municipal governments? What is our responsibility under the Municipal Act? What is our role as a municipality? So what we did at the town of Ajax is we looked at this question, and we have to answer a very different question than the city of Toronto. The city of Toronto is 51% racialized, has a very large newcomer population. The city of Toronto, the town of Ajax, actually, this might be a surprise to most of you, is actually more racialized than the city of Toronto. It's 56% racialized, but 94% of our residents are Canadian citizens. So we don't have to answer the immigration question, we have to answer the racialization question. But with that also comes ensuring that our residents feel included. So we looked at this question, and in June of last year, I went in front of council, and I provided justification for the town of Ajax to declare itself a sanctuary city. And thank you. For those of you in the room that are not familiar with what a sanctuary city is, it is a municipality's declaration to its residents that their residents can have access to all of its services regardless of the residents' status in the country, immigration status in the country. Now, why do we do this, and what does it mean? First of all, under the Municipal Act, the word citizen only appears a couple of times, and neither one of those are in relation to what we're talking about. One is for voting, and the other one is, it's irrelevant in this conversation. But so the role of a municipality to its residents is to make sure that they fulfill their duties and responsibilities. So we took this, and we like to think of ourselves as a forward-thinking, progressive municipality that really takes the issue of inclusion seriously. So when we declared sanctuary, we wanted to ensure that all of our residents, including the most vulnerable, feel included and have a way to live a dignified life at the town of Ajax. Now, since then, we've had a big push in the region because the town of Ajax is the first lower-tier municipality in Canada to declare sanctuary. There's 6 other municipalities in Canada that are sanctuary cities. I'm also currently working with a number of other municipalities to declare as well, because what I can tell you is that what sanctuary means in Canada is very different than what it means in the United States. So we as a municipality, for us to declare sanctuary, for us to build a municipality for all, it is not a way to undermine federal authorities. It is not a way to undermine the sovereignty of the federal government. In fact, it is our responsibility as a municipality under the Immigration Act, under the Municipal Act, to fulfill our roles and responsibilities to our residents. And that is that was our rationale behind declaring sanctuary, and that is the message that we're taking to the region. Now, what I can tell you from my experience with our declaration is that because of what's going on south of the border, especially right now, we've had to deal with a number of very interesting inquiries, as you can imagine. And this has led us to partner with universities across the country and other municipalities to really hone down this question of what does sanctuary mean for Canada. And this is something that I invite everyone here to explore as we move forward, as the climate changes, as we have more migration for other reasons other than refugee claims. What does this mean for a municipality? What does this mean for our country? And I would hope that other municipalities look at this question very critically and find very unique solutions. We don't have to look at what the United States is doing at all times. What we've done in the town of Ajax is we've come up with a very unique solution. And what makes sense for the town of Ajax might not make sense for Windsor. It might not make sense for London. So hopefully I look forward to bridging those gaps and starting those conversations and taking this movement further. Thank you very much.